Commissioner May, Commissioners, good morning. It is now 11:45.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go ahead with our pre-commission agenda. Does anyone have any general housekeeping items to bring up, issues, concerns?
Madam, I have a question on the agenda, on an item on the agenda. But,
okay. If there's no just general comments, we will move right into discussion of our meeting agenda. Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, thank you. I just have a question of whoever's doing the agreement. It's item 4, the Eagle Road, the sewer agreement with Meridian. And that segment of Eagle Road was among the road widenings that we identified when we approved the budget that we want to take a second look at. And so if we decide not to go to 5 lanes and decide actually it's more prudent to do 3, would that affect the sewer agreement? I assume the sewer would still have to go in. We wouldn't be locked into.
Commissioner May, Commissioner Hanson, no, that would not affect the sewer agreement.
Okay, that's and then one other item, Commissioner President May, because obviously I raised objections on the federal capital aid project on Owyhee. That's under number 3 of the consent agenda, that we ought to have included traffic calming. That was not the choice of the majority. So I'd like to be recorded as voting no on item 3. Also on item 7, I also objected to the widening of that segment of Maple Grove. That was even further back. And so while that's all water under the bridge, I'd just like to be recorded as voting no on item 7. So I would be requesting that when the consent agenda motion is made, I'll just record as voting no on item 3 and 7.
All right, so noted. Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none. Director Wong?
Well, Commissioners, good morning. Wonderful day here where you can actually see the foothills and not see the air that you're breathing. A couple updates for all of you, please. First off, we had a very successful initial first day flu shot clinic over at Adams. We had 81 people participating. The next opportunity is next Thursday from 2 to 4 at the Adams facility again. Great operation. Again, it's well covered within our insurance, and during these times, it is a very important vaccine to get. I did note, as I shared with the team earlier, that it appears when I went to go get mine, there was an awfully larger than normal needle sitting out there. It seemed to have my name on it. I'm blaming HR, and there was some reference of me not getting it in my arm. I will assure all of you that I did get it in the arm. We go from there. The audit. Inventory is in progress. We're doing our audit now. As of today, no issues, and we'll keep that progress. And we're also in the federal aid documents review. A lot of this audit will be virtual. We do have a member or two of the audit team that does come to the campus and such now and then, but most of it will be virtual. We'll keep you posted on the great job that our team is doing. On a word on the COVID update, again, we continue to maintain all recommendations and requirements here at the Ada County Highway District, but there has been a change in the CDC recommendations, which we are reviewing and, of course, employing here at the Ada County Highway District. In the past, the recommendation from the CDC was that if you had close contact or extended contact with an individual that had tested positive or showing symptoms, then you should speak to your doctor, of course, first for a test and be quarantined for 14 days if you had a positive test. The CDC has changed their recommendations now to state that you should consider quarantine people for 14 days even if they have a negative test on that. I think it's a sign of the times and such, so I don't know what that speaks to, but it is the new recommendation from the CDC. For your small cell site license update, currently, Ada County Highway District has 140 sites which are installed and active, and with those 140 sites, 86 of them have 5G antennas on them. We have 94 additional sites have approved construction designs, and we have 116 now additional sites that are in pre-application phase. And as we assured you, we'll keep you posted on a weekly basis as to where this is. We are working with Meridian, Boise, and Eagle on the upcoming joint sessions. Currently, for Meridian, we have Thursday, 22 October at 8 a.m. A joint session, which we're hosting. It'll be over Zoom. All these will be over Zoom. The tentative discussions at this point, there's nothing firm yet, for the Meridian joint session is the Linder Bridge proposal and tentative discussions on the Eagle Amity roundabout and roundabouts in general. So we'll keep you posted on that. For Boise, we did have a final pre-planning session day before yesterday, I think it was, and so we are set for the 29th of October, which is a Thursday, at 1 p.m. These will all be on your calendars, of course. The topics are, and these will be the ACHD presented topics, the Harrison Boulevard update, the integrated 5-year work plan and how projects are prioritized. Again, this was a request from Boise as more of an educational first step for the new city council. And the next one is the ACHD annual report. Again, an educational opportunity for the new members of the council. Boise's team will be presenting commercial filming and special use permitting in Boise. They're looking at redoing some of their requirements and adding additional, options for those that want to do that, because a lot of people are wanting now to come to Boise and film. And then the final is the Parklets patio expansion update. We received a very good update from their commercial person as to the success that the restaurants and businesses have had by the joint agreement and partnership that we in Boise have on putting parklets and patio extensions out in the right of way. So that'll be an update and discussion of next steps, or what the city may be looking at in the future as we head into winter operations. And then for Eagle, we're working on dates in December 11th and 18th. Nothing firm yet. Those are the two dates that look open for all of your schedules and theirs, and no topics at this point. My suspicion it might be something around Eagle and State Street, an intersection project of some sort, but more on that as we get forward. And then next week, as you all know, we're doing our hybrid employee breakfast and thanking our team members, our annual event. And so it's in a four series. First one is Monday at 8 o'clock at Orchard. The second series is Tuesday at 7 o'clock at Adams. Third one is Wednesday at 7 o'clock at Cloverdale. And the fourth one is Wednesday at 8 o'clock at the headquarters. And such. So we'll be providing, again, that opportunity for us to say thank you to all of our team members and such, in a little different fashion, but we will not miss this. And then I'd also like to share with you that we have been proud, and I'm proud to announce that ACHD has won the 2020 Preservation Performing Award from the International Slurry Servicing Association. Here it is. That's such a great job on both projects and maintenances operations through the year. And so this will be hung up in a very prestigious place in the trophy cabinets as we go forward. So with that, Commissioners, that's my update for you today. I stand for any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Director Wong. Commissioners, any questions for Director Wong? No? All right. Thank you, Director Wong. Looks like we have a few minutes.
You do.
Before start time.
Well, Commissioners, good afternoon. It's now 12 o'clock.
Thank you, Director Wong. Welcome, everyone. I will now call our October 7th Commission meeting to order. And Director Wong, if you would please lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. If you'd all rise and follow me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
States of America,
to the republic
and to the
for which it
republic for which it stands,
one nation, under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with
indivisible,
liberty and justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. All right, today on your screen, you will see Miss Stacy Spencer. She is our staff member that we are recognizing today. Stacy is the Director's Executive Officer and the ACHD Commission's Clerk, and we are recognizing her for her outstanding performance in all aspects of operations, her unwavering commitment to ACHD's mission and team, and her stellar ability to produce success in everything she touches. She is a consummate professional. She not only manages the day-to-day on-site and virtual operations for the Director and the Commission, she is also a driving force for our budget operations, social committee, and every event that ACHD either hosts or participates in. Unquestionably, holding down the toughest job at the district, Stacy brilliantly balances all the competing challenges of executive officer administration, elected official requirements, public meeting statutes, and most importantly, supporting the 370 team members who consistently produce success for Ada County and Idaho. Stacy, thank you so much for all you do for so many. It is always greatly appreciated. Please join me, everyone, in thanking ACHD's superstar. All right. I also today get to take the opportunity to welcome one of our newest team members. I would like to introduce and welcome Tessa Grieger. She's ACHD's new commuter ride manager. Tessa comes to ACHD from Colorado with an impressive professional background and leadership credentials. Tessa enjoys hiking, biking, and cooking. Tessa, welcome to our team, and we look forward to your leadership for Commuter Ride. Welcome. All right, that's a great way to start off the meeting. Our first item of business is to adopt our agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I would move approval of the consent agenda with, and then I would also like to ask the clerk to indicate that on item 5, I will be voting no, because I do not believe that the CCDC should have ACHD pay for their work.
All right, and in your motion, could you also, Commissioner Baker, please include Commissioner Hansen's statement as part of the motion, or Commissioner Hansen?
Well, I'll second the motion if you include that. I'll be recorded as voting no on items 3 and 7.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, our first item on our regular agenda is Jocelyn Park Subdivision Appeal of District Sidewalk Policy. And we will first hear from staff. Stacy Yarrington.
Okay, we're up and running. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, Stacy Yarrington, Development Services. This is a decision
Welcome.
briefing as the applicant has initiated an appeal of staff's decision. This application is for a preliminary plat consisting of 67 buildable lots that is estimated to generate 633 average daily trips with 67 trips in the PM peak hour. The proposed Jocelyn Park subdivision is located south of Victory Road and west of Meridian Road, State Highway 69. This site has approximately 455 feet of frontage on Victory Road. Victory Road is a minor arterial and is improved with 2 travel lanes, 3-foot wide gravel shoulders, and the Reidenbach Canal is located along the site's north boundary and adjacent to Victory Road. Sorry, my glasses are fogging up. The applicant is appealing the staff level decision to require the construction of sidewalk on Victory Road abutting the site and submitted their request to appeal staff's decision within the allowed 10 working day filing period. Oops, leave that there. ACHD policy requires frontage improvements on Victory Road adjacent to the site that includes pavement widening to 17 feet from center line, plus 3-foot wide gravel shoulder and the construction of 5-foot wide detached sidewalks on a minor arterial roadway. The applicant's submittal letter suggests that due to very site-specific conditions, including the bend of Victory Road, elevation change in Victory Road along this frontage, as well as the elevated Reidenbach Canal bank, that the safest solution for pedestrian access is in the area is to have pedestrians cross Victory Road at the new entrance at the Timberline Subdivision directly west of the site so that pedestrians can access the detached pathway on the north side of Victory, which provides significantly more safety for all. As part of ACHD's 2014 action on Victory Middle School, the lack of sidewalk on this segment of Victory Road was raised as a concern. This site is located within the West Ada School District's 1.5-mile walk zone for middle schools and is located approximately 3/4 of a mile from the site. At the time of ACHD's action on the middle school application, there was little development occurring on the south side of Victory Road between Linder and Meridian Road. However, since that time, the City of Meridian has extended utilities in this area and has had multiple development applications which have either constructed sidewalks or in the process of constructing sidewalks on Victory Road. If the waiver of sidewalk is granted for the Jocelyn Park project, there would be a 455-foot wide gap in what would otherwise be almost a complete mile of sidewalk between Linder and Meridian Road. The applicant's appeal letter stated that this section of the canal
Madam President? Sorry, Stacy.
Excuse me, Stacy. Commissioner Baker?
Could you go back, please, to the previous slide? Okay, so the purple indicates existing sidewalk?
It is either existing or is currently being constructed.
And then the black to the right?
Yeah, it's kind of black-green to the right. We've had an application that we've acted on that a condition is to provide sidewalk through their site. So it is a future development to come in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Stacy. Go ahead.
You bet. So I'll start. The applicant's appeal letter stated that this section of the canal is elevated and therefore standard location and placement of the sidewalk would impact the structural integrity of the canal bank. The plat condition in the staff report required that the sidewalk be located a minimum of 31 feet from center line of Victory Road, abutting the site consistent with district policy. The applicant approached the Nampa Meridian Irrigation District to locate the sidewalk within their easement. However, the irrigation board denied the applicant's request. There are viable options to allow for sidewalk to be constructed on the south side of the Reidenbach Canal, similar to what has been required on McMillan, west of Locust Grove Road, on Lanewood, north of Floating Feather Road, and on Pollard, north of Floating Feather Road. These roadways have sidewalks constructed behind the canals with pedestrian crossings to tie into adjacent and future pedestrian facilities. This application was heard by the Meridian City Council on September 15, 2020, and during that hearing, the applicant requested a waiver of the city's condition to construct sidewalk on Victory Road abutting their site. City staff recommended the construction of the sidewalk in accordance with the city's subdivision and zoning ordinances. The City Council recognized the importance of having pedestrian facilities in this area and tabled a decision on the application until October 20th to allow time for ACHD to take an action on the applicant's appeal. If improvements are not required with this development, then ACHD will be responsible for the cost of these improvements in the future. In discussions with the applicant was amenable to providing a road trust deposit for sidewalk on Victory Road. However, Victory Road is not scheduled in the integrated 5-year work plan and is listed in the 2020 CIP to be improved between 2031 and 2035. Road trust deposits may only be held by ACHD for 10 years, and if the improvements are not constructed, the funds are returned along with interest to the developer. Staff is not supportive of the waiver of sidewalk on Victory Road because of the need for pedestrian facilities due to residential developments. Victory Road, hit too many. The Victory Middle School and existing commercial uses along Meridian Road. Sidewalk improvements are being constructed directly west of the site and to the east with future development of that site. Thus, it would create a gap along this section of Victory Road, and sidewalks can be placed within a sidewalk easement outside of the dedicated right-of-way. Staff recommends approval of the staff report as written, requiring the construction of the 5-foot wide detached sidewalk per policy. And I stand for any questions.
Madam President.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Yes, I just have a comment for Stacy and for the development services staff that worked on this. And that's just thank you. Thank you for not creating another sidewalk gap in this county. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe. Any other comments or questions for Stacy, Commissioners?
Madam President, I have a question.
All right, Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, thanks, Stacy. What are the lane widths driving along that, especially heading eastbound? What are the lane widths of the 2 lanes of traffic right now, and what they will be once the pavement's finished after this widening?
President May, Commissioner Hanson, currently there's about 24 to 25 feet of pavement there, so the 2 travel lanes are at least 12 feet wide right now. The applicant will have to widen their side of the pavement to 17 feet from center line, and then the MSM plans for a 3-lane roadway through that section in the future.
Well, that was my question. Is 3 lanes really necessary if there's no place to turn? So you're not really a turning lane because there's no place to turn. There's no place to turn until you get to that development a little further down. Is it necessary to have the road that wide right at that turn? My question, obviously, is that's an area where it comes very straight heading from the west, and then you make that turn, and if you don't pay attention to the speed limit signs, you swerve off the pavement. And I'm sure people have done that. It's such a sharp turn. Then the question is, by widening it, are we inviting people basically to take that turn a whole lot faster than they should? Especially since the need for that center turn lane really isn't there because there's no place to turn into.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hanson, that is not my area to comment on. That's obviously design and engineering's.
Yeah, it's just my general belief that just because there might be places to turn further up and further down, obviously into this new development, you'll need to have a left turn. But as you're on that curve, the need for it doesn't exist because obviously there's no place to turn into, and so it's just space. But what it does is it creates a wider road to take that curve much faster. So rather than having just a constant middle turn lane, did the staff consider, okay, bringing it back down to 2 or leaving it at 2 until you really need a left turning lane in the middle?
President May, Commissioner Hanson, we are not improving that roadway to 3 lanes at this time. It is planned out in the future for 2031, 2035 with the new CIP plan. Right now, they would just be widening an additional 3 to 4 feet on their side of the road to provide that additional pavement, which we do consistently on arterial roads with development applications.
Yeah, I guess my question is that makes sense on most roads. This one though, there's this sharp turn that poses a danger, and whether by asking them to pay that much, we are adding to that danger. That's my concern there. A follow-up would be by adding a sidewalk. There's no people walking along there, obviously right now, but when we ask them to put in the sidewalk, which I hope we, I would agree with Commissioner Goldthorpe until I hear some more evidence to the contrary, there's justification for that. But I'm just concerned about speeding traffic coming around that corner. We will now have pedestrians walking along there. What kind of protection we have, both to ensure speeding doesn't occur by the design of the road, and perhaps some physical barrier more than just space to protect the pedestrians.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson.
Thanks. Those are my concerns.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for Stacy? Stacy, thank you very much. Ms. Spencer, is the applicant here?
I don't have anybody messaging me that they would like to testify. Is there anybody?
All right. Anybody else sign up or?
This is Bonnie Layton. I'm here representing the applicant.
If you could please restate your name and your address, please.
Okay, Bonnie Layton. I'm with WH Pacific, now known as MV5. I'm at 690 South Industry Way, Suite 10 in Meridian, Idaho, 83642. And thank you for your time. I'm here today on behalf of our client, representing this project and our request. So if we could, let's see the Vicinity Map, and at some point will I be able to share my screen with everyone to maybe make it easier to navigate through some of the discussion points? Is that possible? Okay.
You can go ahead and share right now.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
Okay, you're up, Bonnie.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners, for your time today. As Stacy mentioned, we've been working through a number of issues on this project. Oh, let me get to, and as you see, you know, this bend in the road and the concerns. So initially when we did the project and in the planning process, we said, okay, let's get, we're connecting through the adjacent site. Pardon me, let me get to my info. I apologize, my share screen keeps jumping up in front of me here. And so as you can see from the image on the screen here, this is the Timberline subdivision that we're taking access from. So our access is actually off of Victory through this entrance here. I did want to note that in one of the previous images that was up on the screen that Stacy presented, it looked like the arrow was showing that access would be here, but it's actually shifted farther to the west. And really in looking at this, as you're aware, the requirements are to have frontage improvements. That being said, this image, which I have included in our request, shows that if we were to place the sidewalk where it's typically required, we would be cutting into the bank of the canal. And this dashed cayenne line is the it's the toe of the bank. And so what we did is we said, okay, maybe what we can do is place the sidewalk along here. There's actually two canal roads, so one on the north side of the canal and one on the south side. So we approached the city, the irrigation district, and their response was, no, we don't want anything in this area on this road at all. And so we're trying to figure out, we had proposed this, where maybe we could fence it right along the edge here, it's still on the canal road, pick up the sidewalk so it would deviate. That being said, I would like to point out that this connection here is a connection to nowhere because of the way that the Timberline subdivision was approved. They are actually showing a lot here and an open space here. So the sidewalk comes along here, it stops, and then there's actually, this drawing doesn't show it, but there's canal easement or irrigation district easement here. So we said, well, we understand that there's a sidewalk here. Is it possible potentially to bring a sidewalk down through here and connect and do, we did this study here to see that this is actually not, we'd be making improvements on somebody else's property because this is our property line. Effectively, we're really pinned in and don't, even though our property line goes adjacent to Victory Road, we really don't have any control of that frontage. We've been told by the irrigation district, no, you're not putting anything in our right-of-way at all. So we're stuck. We could potentially put the pathway along here in our park outside of the toe of the bank there. So here's a public park area that we have that could continue through for maybe some future connection. But that being said, and looking at what Timberline, what their subdivision had been approved to do, we'd still be connecting to a lot. So we've been going round and round on what are the different options, and this is the area in question that's kind of a critical zone. I met with the irrigation district. They said that they see tire marks up on this bank all the time. They felt like they did not want to see pedestrians coming to here, and then where do they go? I know Stacy mentioned that the property to the east was to be developed. It's my understanding from city staff that that application has now been pulled. So in looking at how do we make a safe pedestrian access and what options are available, Stacy mentioned our clients have no problem agreeing to a road trust, but it sounds like timing isn't in the cards for that. We've looked at the city planning for the pathway. They show that the pathway on the north side of Victory is existing. There's a section here that is a little bit smaller with the sidewalk, and then there's the path that goes up. But there's nothing in their pathway system that identifies anything on the south side of Victory either. And so not controlling this piece where there's no room for, again, once you get to this corner, where would they go? Then they get to the end of a sidewalk and they're crossing at a low point that's a blind, potentially not quite a blind corner, but a pretty dangerous corner. If I may, I'm going to play a video that our client shot of the condition, taking pictures and trying to just illustrate our concerns here. Basically, from our standpoint, we're not allowed to put the sidewalks along the frontage. Irrigation district has said absolutely not. So that doesn't really leave us an option. We don't have any control over that. And we appreciate that ACHD staff has been trying to work with us to come up with a solution. And it seems like we keep just going around in circles. While that video loads, I wanted to also show you so what we had proposed is, why don't we shift this where there's no, it drops down here, so why not cross here and really maximize the use of infrastructure that's already in place, pedestrian infrastructure that's maybe underutilized. I didn't see anybody walking out on this side, but it's off of a busy road. It's not near an attractive nuisance. And I'm sorry, the video's taking a while to load, but you can see from the pictures here, as you're coming from the top, you get down into this low corner. Okay, the video's loaded again. So you can just, this is the Timberline sub that's being developed. It's looking north on Victory. Now we're looking to the east. And try to turn this video down a bit. But here's where the entrance would be, and then as you go down, you're going down into this low corner. So you'd be pinning, even if we could do it outside of the toe of the slope, which I don't think is possible, you're really forcing pedestrians into a dangerous corner there. And as you may be aware, the traffic on this road is constant. You know, if I'm a mom walking her kids or a stroller down the sidewalk here, and I get to that corner, then what do? I've got to turn around. There's no safe place for me to go. When I went out there, I took some pictures, and it was exactly that. So, you know, we asked the irrigation district, can we do something on the top of the bank? No, we offered to fence it, you know, make it safe. The answer was no. So we're really struggling with what kind of alternative can we provide. You know, if we don't come up with a solution, you'll effectively have a gap in the sidewalk on this side forever, you know, or until the canal is realigned and the road is realigned, and there's no plans that I'm aware of that that's going to happen anytime soon. And that's where we felt like, you know, enhancing and encouraging pedestrians to cross at the Timberline entrance would be the safest option for both pedestrians and drivers, something that's clear visibility, that we can get them to the north side, to this wide path that's safe. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to move pedestrians in a safe manner. Trying to pen them in this corner here just is not, it's not the safest bet, and also not allowed by the irrigation district. So I'll just let the video play here. City Council was, they recognized that there was an issue, and they recognized the concerns. You know, and we understand both from city staff standpoint and from ACHD staff standpoint that they have to follow the procedures of the manual. This is why we're requesting a waiver. So now we're off of our property, and really there's no room here to continue a sidewalk on the north side along the canal. And I guess it's my understanding, Stacy can correct me if I'm wrong, but that previous application to the east of us that's now been pulled, they were going to have a path on the south side, not even adjacent to the road, that they were going to, because there's just no room there with the canal. So we think that our request meets the standards of a waiver or a variance, given that there's very site-specific constraints and topography here. You can see that the elevation change here from the top of the bank down, you're really in this low corner. And crossing up top up here where there's good visibility, where people can get across safely and onto this very nice, beautiful piece of infrastructure, pedestrian infrastructure would be the best way to go.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Madam President?
Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the downside to putting the path on the south side of the path? Okay, I don't know if it made it through or not. It's a very terrible connection.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, maybe you should mute your phone.
Yeah. Bonnie, can you mute while she asks her question, please? We're getting a lot of kickback.
Okay, so what's the downside to putting the pathway on the south side of the canal?
The downside would be that we would not be able to, we'd have to be outside of the irrigation district's easements. They've been very clear that they don't want anything. So it would require that we put it here in our proposed park.
Yeah.
That said, that there would be no way to get to it.
Well, you had a thing up earlier that showed you could link to the road, right?
No, that's incorrect. What we did a study to trying to show, but it's not on our property, and it's also
No. There is a road that you're stepping into, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Let me get to what we had been proposing is
Right. So see, you have that there. So you could have, I understand the issue with not being able to be along Victory, but you could connect a pathway from that stub street going north along the edge of the right-of-way for the canal, and then, have it stub out to the east of your property.
Are you speaking from here?
Yeah. No, that pathway's probably, that sidewalk's already been created, I'm sure.
Yes, but the plan is, I'm sorry, let me get to that drawing. So the plan is, here's the entrance, here's the sidewalk. What we have proposed is, why not use this sidewalk and, stub in, and then, we can obviously bring it along our path. That's what we've been proposing all along is, can't we just take access off of that?
Well, I'm just getting from your discussion, I just believe that it's more a question of not wanting to do any, okay, I don't know if anybody can hear this or not. There's just so much feedback. So that's okay. Never mind. I don't need to ask.
No, Commissioner Baker, I'd like you to finish your thought, please. And Bonnie, if you could just mute while she's speaking, I think that would be helpful. Thank you. Commissioner Baker, please go forward.
Yeah, I just think that the whole discussion has been on the fact that you don't want to create a pathway at all. You wanted to do it on the canal, which of course is impossible, and everybody knows it's impossible because the canal company never allows a pathway along their canals. So, I just think that there are options. It may not be perfect, but I think a road trust would be a waste of time because eventually it will have to be returned. And I would rather see the infrastructure put into place now than perhaps in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Any other questions, commissioners?
If I may, just to be clear, it's definitely not that our clients, they're more than willing to do something. It's just a matter of what is it that we can do? How do we solve this problem if we're not allowed to place it where the standard policy is? Will the commissioners accept an alternative that's to the south of the right-of-way and that stubs to the extent of, of our frontage there? We're definitely not saying that we don't want to do anything. It's just, how do we do that and make sure that we are providing the safest alternative for pedestrians in this area? Effectively, we don't control any of that frontage. And so we're asking for an alternative. And if it's in the south area, south of the canal, we're fine with that. It was just outside of the scope of what the what staff was able to agree to. And so what we thought is the entrance off of Timberline and Victory, come down the sidewalk, and then connect up. We've got a sidewalk along here, this is West Cumberland. We do have a sidewalk along here. I mean, if the commission wanted to see some sort of path that veered off of that sidewalk and went along here and stepped to the end, I mean, we could do that. Of course, Cumberland stubs to the parcel adjacent. The canal road goes down through here. So we're just asking for some guidance in how to solve this very unique problem, given the geography and the canal.
Thank you, Bonnie. Commissioners, any other questions for Bonnie? Okay, hearing none, and no other individual that would wish to comment on this, Stacy?
Yes, we have, I think Austin Edwards is part of the applicant. Austin, are you with the applicant?
Yes, I'm. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yes, my name is Austin Edwards. I gave Stacy my address, but it's 2573 Long Wing, Suite 210, Meridian, 83642, just for the record. I'm actually on the developer side, and I just wanted to say thank you for hearing us today, and I just wanted to reiterate and just state clearly what our intention is here. We firmly understand the need for connectivity through this area, the need for sidewalk and pathway access, and we do absolutely want to provide that connectivity. And I believe that with the access off of Victory Road through Timberline, we can get pedestrians off of this dangerous stretch of Victory Road, funnel them down Cumberland Drive on our frontage where we have a nice open space. And we're happy to take a pathway off of that sidewalk and run it down that southern edge of the canal right-of-way or canal easement and stub at the edge of our property for future expansion on the south side of the canal, the Reidenbach Canal. And I think what that would do is this area could serve as a great transition area for getting traffic off of Victory Road there and getting it to the south side of the canal for future expansion towards Meridian. So that's kind of our plan. The other one that Bonnie brought up as well is the crossing. If we wanted to go the direction of crossing Victory Road at the entrance to Timberline, we're at the top of a hill, there's great visibility So that'd be the ideal place for pedestrian crossing in the area, and having, maybe even a signalized crossing, something like that, to make it as safe as possible. It's also an option to get traffic on that north side of Victory Road, where we have that 10-foot wide pedestrian pathway. So that's all I wanted to say, and thanks for hearing me.
Thank you, Austin. All right, we have no one signed up to make any comments. So at this time, and if no commissioner has any other comment or question, I'd like Stacy to come back to the podium. Okay, she's coming back up. All right, Stacy. Commissioner Arnold has a question, and then I would like you to address some of the comments made by the applicant. Go ahead, Commissioner Arnold.
Thank you, Commissioner May. If we don't actually need a third lane in that particular section of the roadway, is it possible to fit a sidewalk in within the right-of-way if we narrow the road and keep it at only 2 lanes in that section?
President May, Commissioner Arnold, I believe, again, that's a engineering and design consideration. That would not be our decision here.
Well, do we have staff from that department that could address that question?
Madam President, Commissioner Arnold, Gary
Mr.
Inselman, Deputy Director of Development Technical Services. We wouldn't be able to know for sure until a project were to go through a design phase to look at that, but due to the topography and the constraints there, my guess would be that it would not fit, even eliminating that third lane. The proposals that the applicants just stated about taking a second sidewalk or pathway through the park just south of the canal and doing a connection down to Cumberland, that meets the requirement of requiring the sidewalk. As the other parcels develop east and west, we'll work on getting those connections for a more direct connection if possible, and if not, this does provide a connection.
Thank you.
All right, well, that answers a big part of this. Stacy, is there any other issue or comments from Bonnie that you would like to address directly?
President
Before
May,
the commission votes on this?
Yeah, I don't believe so. Gary Inselman obviously covered the connections to the east and west that we can certainly, work towards attaining. And I think, with Andrew's proposal, as he said, going through on that north side of their open space area is a good resolution.
Okay, and that would satisfy the
Yes.
criteria. All right. Thank you very much, Stacy. Appreciate it.
Madam President, I have a question for Stacy or Gary.
Okay, Commissioner Hanson, don't go away there, Stacy.
I'm here.
So the key to this, that I agree with Commissioner Arnold's observation too. The key to this is that bridge. Is there planning to expand the bridge? I'm looking at the picture of the bridge right now, and it's 2 lanes. The detached pathway comes right to the roadway on the north side and crosses, which gives me a little heartburn having no physical barrier. And I assume the same thing would happen on the south side of that bridge. Is there plans to enlarge that bridge over the canal? Obviously, there's no turning requirement. What's the deal with this bridge, and how do we make pedestrians safe as they cross it?
President Kamei, Commissioner Hanson, in the future, when we have a project along that section of Victory Road, we would look at the condition of the bridge at that time. If it needs to be replaced, we would build a wider bridge to provide those pedestrian facilities. If it's still structurally sound and meets the needs of the roadway, we potentially would look at separate pedestrian bridges on either side, or the north side, since the south side would be south of the canal and the sidewalk doesn't need to cross the canal.
So, President May, and I guess in general to everybody, this is brought to my attention. Clearly, we need a physical barrier there today. The speeding, the traffic on that road, just to protect that north pathway. much like we have on Fairview and Main near downtown Boise. And regardless of this, I would like us to move forward on at least. It's not a very big fix, but it certainly indicates that the reason why that path is detached from Victory is to give it that protection, and yet it has to actually attach to Victory to get over the bridge. So,
Could we pull up that picture that Commissioner Hansen is looking at of the bridge so everybody has it before them?
you zoom in. I'm just referring right now to the path on the north side, but we'll face the same issue if we require a pathway on the south side. Yeah, see, it comes directly to the road and then detaches again right there. So regardless of what we do on this application, I'd like to see us move forward on putting some Jersey barriers or some sort of physical protection on that pathway. We're lucky we haven't had an incident so far.
President May,
Mr. Inselman,
Commissioner
is that
Hanson,
something?
we will look at that.
Go ahead. Okay, if you could. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Commissioner Hanson. Thank you, Mr. Inselman. All right, Commissioners, any other comments, statements, questions? All right. We have before us, and you heard the viable option that would satisfy the criteria before us. So,
Madam President,
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I would like to make a motion, and that is that we approve the staff report as written and deny the waiver.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion with a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Actually, Madam President, I think the motion should probably be structured as we are denying the appeal and upholding the staff report as written.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, motioner agrees. So we have a motion and a second. Any
Madam
further
President,
discussion?
yes,
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
I take great interest in the activities of the irrigation district and their votes of their board and other things. And what has been said about their reluctance or refusal to do anything like this is often a 2 to 1 vote. And so I would ask that perhaps in the future that the developer and others might pay attention more to the irrigation district than expecting either the city or ACHD to solve problems like this that involve a pathway that absolutely will be not seen by the public, and they'll be more confused than ever to use something that was on the other side of the canal and at the north end of a, quote, park. So again, that's something to consider. But
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Discussion?
Madam President,
Commissioner Hanson?
I hope, I agree with Commissioner Goldthorpe and Commissioner Baker. The pathway should be built that people will walk on that because you already have the path on either end which will connect to it. I agree with Commissioner Arnold that we should look at, and I would direct staff to look at, we don't need that center turning lane. And if that's the case, the configuration of how much width is required and separation is required might be different than a standard straight-on continuous middle turning lane. It will be a middle turning lane that will not be used because we've got the first turn is to the west is in that Timberline subdivision. You don't get another one to the east until what is that other subdivision to the north, and I assume they'll probably connect across. But on that turn, there's just that one driveway, which doesn't need its own center turn lane. And the safety of the pedestrians is important. And I think also on that turn, I think the applicant makes a good point. People take that turn heading east too fast, and you can see skid marks on the side of the road. Well, that's where we need some physical protection, not just on the bridge, but probably on that sharp turn to the left. Put some physical protection, a bollard or something, so that pedestrians, even though they'll be separated, I'd hope that as they go into the details of this, those two considerations will be brought into the specific design of what that pathway will be.
All right, thank
Madam
you.
President?
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I think that, Mr. Hanson, you're getting outside the scope of this appeal, and it's probably inappropriate to bring that stuff up during this discussion. And so I think, basically we've got it where there is room for a path. It may not be in the optimal position, but there's workarounds for that. There's signage. There's all sorts of things that can be done. And quite frankly, putting it on the south side of the canal just makes it completely safer for everybody because you're away from the road. You're definitely not going to come into conflict with any cars there. So I think that the discussion of the widening of the road or barriers is outside the scope of this application because this is an appeal. This isn't anything other than an appeal.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. All right, commissioners.
Just want to comment, Madam Chair, that this will be the only opportunity we have, and I think pedestrian safety is always appropriate for commissioners to comment on, even though it is not specific to the some aspects specific to the appeal. So I think it's appropriate commissioners can comment on the pedestrian.
Well, Mr. Hanson, you can always bring this up as a discussion point during any commission meeting that we have. You could ask that it be put on the agenda. But if the pedestrian path is going to be on the south side of the canal, there isn't going to be any conflict with pedestrians. So.
Okay, thank you very much, commissioners. All your comments are noted. We have a motion before us. I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, our next item on our regular agenda is a Cherry Lane Montessori School as a request for waiver of policy presentation by staff. Dawn Battles. Welcome, Dawn.
Good afternoon.
You've been waiting patiently.
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, I'm Dawn Battles, Development Services. This is a decision briefing for the Cherry Lane Montessori School, and the applicant is requesting a waiver of ACHD's frontage improvements for Cherry Lane. This is an Ada County application, and the site is surrounded by existing city limits, the dark blue shaded areas, and is in the City of Meridian's area of impact. The site is located north of Cherry Lane and west of Black Cab Road between two entitled residential subdivisions within the City of Meridian. This development is estimated to generate 390 vehicle trips per day with 25 vehicle trips in the PM peak hour. The applicant is requesting approval for a master site plan and a conditional use permit for a Montessori preschool child care center that will include 4 separate buildings that total 3,840 square feet on the southwestern portion of a 5-acre parcel. The preschool child care center will be expanded in a later phase to include elementary grades and will consist of up to 24 students in each of the 4 proposed buildings for a total of 96 students at full capacity. There was a previous application for this site. In 2018, the applicant applied for an accessory use permit with Ada County Development Services for an in-home group daycare facility with up to 12 children. Staff recommended a waiver of frontage improvements in exchange for the dedication of right-of-way without compensation. The staff report also stated frontage improvements may be required on Cherry Lane with a future development application. The ACHD Commission approved staff's recommendation to waive frontage improvements with that application. The applicant did not move forward with the opening of the in-home daycare facility. Because of this, the additional right-of-way on Cherry Lane was not dedicated abutting the site. The applicant has agreed to dedicate the additional right-of-way as part of this application without compensation, as this portion of Cherry Lane is not listed in the capital improvements plan. Staff recommends the applicant enter into a license agreement with ACHD that allows the existing well and any landscaping to remain until further development of the site. The applicant is requesting a waiver of frontage improvements policy as part of the current application. Those frontage improvement requirements include pavement widening to 17 feet from center line plus a 3-foot gravel shoulder where it does not exist, approximately 125 feet of the site's frontage, and 5-foot wide sidewalk on Cherry Lane abutting the site. The applicant's waiver request is based on the following. The applicant personally measured and states there is 17 feet of pavement and a minimum 3-foot gravel shoulder existing along the site's frontage. The inability to use their accessory use permit with Ada County Development Services approved in 2018, and the undue hardship of the conditions of approval to construct a 960 square foot building in their first phase. Additionally, the applicant is proposing to construct sidewalk within 1 year after the first building is constructed or before applying for a building permit to construct the second 960 square foot building. ACHD staff took measurements along Cherry Lane and recommends a waiver of pavement widening and a 3-foot gravel shoulder abutting the site due to the existing conditions meeting the intent of the policy for pavement width and a shoulder. However, staff is not supportive of the waiver of sidewalk. If Ada County Development Services approves this application, it will be approved for all 4 buildings. Therefore, ACHD will not receive another development application to require sidewalk. Both parcels east and west of the site have been entitled as residential subdivisions within the city of Meridian and were required to construct sidewalk. The sidewalk is existing abutting the site's west property line and will be constructed abutting the east property line, thus creating a 335-foot wide sidewalk gap along Cherry Lane. Because of the continuous development in the area, there is a need for pedestrian facilities to provide access to the proposed school site, the churches in proximity, and the elementary school within 1.3 miles of the site. Staff recommends approval of the staff report as written, requiring the construction of a 5-foot wide detached sidewalk on Cherry Lane abutting the site. I will stand for any questions.
Madam President?
All right, thank you very much, Don. Yes, Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I have the same comment that I had with the first matter.
Thank you.
Thank you for not allowing another sidewalk gap.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Don. Any other comments or questions for Don? All right, hearing none. The applicant is here, Don, so we'll have you to stand by, and then we will have you come back and address any questions or issues that are brought up. All right. So now we will hear from the applicant, William McEwen. Sir, are you here?
Yes.
All right, welcome.
So, at the very first part of this,
Okay.
Commissioner, may I
Okay,
ask if he would be testifying, and I have not heard a response.
From
sorry,
Mr.
is that
McEwen?
better?
There we
Hello?
go. Okay.
There he is. Okay, that's much better,
All right.
yes.
So yes, we had to change our audio for this meeting. I would encourage you to read pages 70 and 71 for my response to the report. And we're not asking for a waiver of the sidewalk per se. What we're asking for is a little bit of time. If you look at the report, you'll notice that that we are surrounded somewhat by improvements the church across us, which is on the south side, will be required to build a sidewalk. We're asking for a 1-year waiver, which would allow us to get at least one school up and make enough money so that we can tear out our landscaping, remove our well, relocate our landscaping, and put the sidewalk in. It's a matter of funds and dollars and cents. If we had an extra $40,000 right now, we wouldn't have asked for it. We would have just gone ahead and did it. But the matter of the fact is that we're a small school trying to get started, and we just need a little bit of time to make these improvements. I agree with the commissioner, whoever said that. Yeah, sidewalk gaps are ugly. In fact, you're going to see sidewalk gaps not 50 feet east of us on the north side and the south side. And it's going to remain that way for quite some time because I know the people who own it and they're not planning on any improvements. But I agree, there should be a sidewalk there. We're asking for a deference until we can, and it be required in order for us to get our second building in. And with that, I will let my wife talk to you about her school. Thank you.
Yeah, we bought this particular property.
We don't have any audio.
Can you hear now?
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay. The reason we bought the property was for in the future to build this school. Before we even bought the property, we did all the applications. That's when 2018. And so the whole idea for us was to build this property. And now the reason why we are doing it in phases is because our funds are limited. We just have enough to build that 960 square foot building, plus all the other improvements that we have to do to even get the building going. So to put that additional sidewalk right now, we just don't have the money for it because we have over 500 arborvitaes. We love them. They're beautiful. They have been there for like 30 years. We would like to remove them and not to do it in a hurry and lose them. And that costs money, relocate them. And our well and several other things that we have there. And we just need that time. We knew from the get-go that we will be losing our frontage. We understood that part. And we are, like William said, that we know that we will have to put a sidewalk in the future. And we're just asking to give us that time since we will have a sidewalk across the street with the church building. And other point I had was none of my students now are within that first year or so. I don't think anyone using any sidewalks to get to school. Maybe in the future when I have over almost 100 students, maybe that's a possibility, but for now. And so I don't think an immediate need for a sidewalk. And so we are proposing to waive that sidewalk for 1 year. I can't hear Mary, the president. You are on mute. Are they all on?
That's fine. I'm the one. I'm the culprit.
Okay.
Could you please state your address for our record, please? And your name is
5120 West Cherry Lane. I am Jessie Ellis McEwen. I am the teacher and owner of headmaster of the school.
All right. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for the McEwens? All right. Thank you very much. Stacy, do we have anybody else that's signed up to comment?
I do not have anyone signed up at this time.
All right. Dawn? There she is. Do you have any comments or anything that the McEwens brought up that you would like to address?
Yes, Madam President, Commissioners, I just wanted to remind the McEwens that within the staff report, ACHD is recommending a license agreement for that existing landscaping and the well to remain, and the sidewalk could be constructed behind their existing landscaping, and it would still be within the right-of-way that they're dedicating.
Okay, Mr. McEwen, are you clear on what Dawn just said?
Yeah,
what they're
we are
proposing?
absolutely
Okay.
clear. I just
Okay.
repeated it because it wasn't in her initial statement. I didn't hear her say that we were willing to put the sidewalk in. It was a matter of timing. I didn't hear that in her initial statement.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, Dawn, any further comments?
No, that was within my report that
Okay.
they were willing to do it within 1 year, but
Right,
yes,
I did hear you say that. Okay, anything else, Dawn?
No, I do not have additional comments.
All right, thank you very much. All right, commissioners, you've heard from staff and the applicant.
Madam President?
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I had a question, and it's probably for legal staff.
All right.
Since we will not be seeing any more applications, what is our enforcement mechanism for the 1 year?
Madam President, Steve
That's
Price.
a good question.
General Counsel.
Mr. Price?
For the record, that is the issue, is that we have a difficult time with enforcement on that. Once the approval's in, it's off, and we don't have the ability to condition a plat approval or anything like that in the future. So the other option would be to road trust the funds, which evidently the funds are the issue, or to put up a letter of credit or some type of financial security. But in the end, it's the ability to enforce the condition, if you so imposed it, to require that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Price.
Madam President, I guess
Commissioner Baker?
I don't understand that. Could you repeat that?
Mr. Price?
Sure. The answer to your question is, yes, we have a difficult time enforcing the 1 year deferral. The reason is because we lose our leverage in any additional approvals after the first building is built.
Right, no, so the question is, how do we enforce it?
Well,
If we have no leverage, how do we enforce it?
we don't have any leverage. We can enforce it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioners have questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Don, thank you very much. Mr. and Mrs. McEwen, thank you very much. Commissioners, you have this item before you. Is there a motion? This is a request waiver policy. Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I would move that the appeal be denied and that the staff report be upheld. And if I get a second, I'll speak to it.
You've got a second.
All right, we've got a motion with a second. Commissioner Baker.
Yes, Madam President, I am really sympathetic to the applicants not, wanting to have that year delay, and I understand the whole thing of the financing and everything. It's just that, as our attorney has just pointed out, we don't have any enforcement mechanism, and I would really be loath to put the taxpayers of Ada County on the hook for having to make those improvements in the future because we have no enforcement mechanism. So I'm sorry, but I don't see any way out of it.
Right, thank you.
May I say
and
something?
It is true, and it is true. No, sir, we've got a motion before us. before the commission? Any other commissioners have a comment for discussion? All right, hearing none.
May I say something?
Call for the decision. Mr. McEwen, once we have the motion before us, we need to have the commission weigh in on it.
So is there
Yes, we're going to vote. We'll call for the decision. We have a motion before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. And that's a hard decision. We understand the financial constraints, but like Commissioner Baker said, that is a hard one then to have the taxpayers of Ada County come back in and pay for those improvements.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I'm not on mute. The fact is that we can.
Okay, we lost you there at the end.
The point is that we can't afford to pay for them either, so we're not going to be able to go ahead with our project. We may not be able to use our land as we wished, and in 10 years, if you ever decide to build a road here, the taxpayers will be paying for it because we can't afford to do it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
I appreciate your position as well, but I thought I came up with some kind of compromise, and apparently it's not good enough. So,
well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here today. Thank you. All right, that takes us into public communications. Is there anybody here that would like to address the commission? Or Ms. Spencer, do you have anybody that has signed up?
I do not have anybody signed up.
All right. All right. With no one ready to address the commission, we do stand adjourned. And we will now go into our post-commission work session. Does anybody need a break before we do that? All right. We'll just go right into it. We're going to start with our winter maintenance operations. This will be a presentation by Scott Frisbee and Rich Shaw.
Afternoon, Madam President and Commission.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm Scott Frisbee. I'm Superintendent for Cloverdale Division, and Rich Shaw and I are here today to share with you our upcoming winter operation plan. Winter operations overview. Today we're going to be talking about our winter operations mission. We're going to be talking about our equipment, materials, our historical cost overview map. We got some startup preparations, training, our COVID-19 contingents, and outreach to partners, weather predictions, and citizen information. Winter operations missions is to facilitate the safest possible travel conditions for general public, utilizing all of our available resources. That includes our plowing, anti-icing, chloride, as well as we have 4 contractors right now on board to help us out if we need them. Our current inventory, currently right now we have 5,177 lane miles of roads to maintain. That has increased by 56 lane miles from last year. Arterials are 1,147 lane miles. We have 695 lane miles of collectors. Our residentials are 3,203 lane miles. And then we have 132 other lane miles, which is basically alleys, dirt roads, things like that. Currently, we have 4,308 cul-de-sacs. That was increased by 31 from last year. This is a breakdown of our equipment that we have currently right now, and it shows the split between Adams and Cloverdale. Currently, we have 64 total units with 46 total plows. We have 143 3 team members. 140 of them are maintenance folks, and 3 of them are from our traffics division, which we really appreciate the help on that. On our Adams division, we have 16 dump trucks with sanding MIG units and plows. We have 4 dump trucks with plows, 6 pickups with salt spreading units and plows, 7 various anti-icing units, 2 graders and a loader. For our Cloverdale division, we have 17 dump trucks with sanding MIG units and plows, 3 dump trucks with plows, 7 various anti-icing units, 2 graders and a loader. And like I said earlier, we have currently we have 4 contractors on call, and they have multiple pieces of equipment like loaders, road graders, things like that. This is our material storage that we can have on hand. Currently, we can store up to 290,000 gallons of May chloride. Kind of shows you the split there between the Adams, Cloverdale, and White Pit. We have 50,000 we can store at Adams, 90,000 at Cloverdale, 150 gallons at White Pit. And then our rock salt and sand salt mix, we can hold up to 12,000 total tons, 6,000 at each location. Blue salt, this year we will be turning our road salt blue again this season. Doing this will save us money and is better for the environment by reducing the over application. Turning it blue also allows for our team members to proactively check the spread patterns during the application. This will help limit the over treating of areas in multiple routes since it shows up easier. It is also non-toxic. This shows us our historical costs for the past 11 years. As you can see, the last 3 years we've had some pretty normal weather conditions. And it kind of shows our big $9 million 2017 winter that we had. This is our overview map, and it shows the Cloverdale and Adams division split service areas. It also shows the individual routes. On this, each one of those routes has 2 drivers, and they alternate each week on call basis. Each one of these operators we call them the experts in the route. We try to keep the same operators going in the same routes every year. And they do a great job and do a really good job of service to community. This is the individual route map that our operators have in the trucks, and it shows their service areas that they're going to be addressing. It shows the priorities as well. These operators, like I say, they do a really good job. They're an expert in their route, and we keep them in the routes each year. If any of these operators do go down because of a sickness, we do have individuals that we can backfill with them, with our supervisors as well. So this year, I don't think we're going to have any problems at all keeping a full staff going. Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Rich Shaw.
Good afternoon. This is Rich Shaw with Adams Maintenance Superintendent. Tools day in our call out for our supervising staff. We have the RWIS systems. We depend heavily on the National Weather Service, Ada County Sheriff's Office, and obviously our TMC Center. Our supervisors are on call 7 days a week, 24/7. There's one located at Adams and one located here or at Cloverdale as well. We encourage the open communication between those folks and all the tools that they have here. We also have Opticon units located at each division to aid us in the plowing operation. Treatment priorities. Priority 1, as identified in the policy, is arterials, collectors, major intersections, overpasses, bridges, hospitals, fire stations, railroad crossings, school crossings, and streets with grades over 6%. These will be initially, every time we go out for a winter storm event, when we're called out, these are going to be our priority 1s every time. Priority 2 kicks over into our school bus routes as identified by the public school districts and to support our vulnerable populations. At this time, when priority 2s are elected, the superintendents will make the call. Priority 3, that's when things are getting really bad. We're going to go after the residential streets, including all our cul-de-sacs. The deputy director will decide when to implement this plan. We started up in August, reviewing and updating our route maps. September 25th, we finalized those and got them all put in our books for our drivers. October 2nd, we finalized the notices with communications. And October 16th, we should complete our equipment checks and be ready to roll. As well as the 16th, we will publish our winter ops packets and deliver them to you, the commission, and communications as well. October 6th, we started our supervisor training. We have one new supervisor in the mix this year. We covered the policies and procedures and decision-making on the on-call status. October 7th and 8th, this week, we're training our operators. We have 7 new employees. We're training them on the operation of the equipment, the loading and unloading, hands-on, and they'll also be out taking the wheel in their hands for the first time, some of them, and going through the routes to get familiar with them. It's coming up really quick. November 3rd is our winter operations begins. And our new operators, just so you guys understand that we're not sending them out alone. They will have a co-pilot that is very experienced with them until they are fully trained and comfortable to take it on their own. Continually, we're going to reinforce the expectation for consistency, not only with our snow call responsibilities, but also with COVID and being safe and keeping everything disinfected. Key things to remember while we're at work, these are all things we're covering with our folks, is if you are sick, you must stay home if you're ill, no exceptions. If you or one of your family members has been exposed to somebody that was positive with COVID, you must stay home as well. Face coverings will be required when you're unable to maintain social distancing of 6 feet or greater. And this is more for our office folks when we're in here, but face coverings are optional when alone in an office or vehicle. For offices that have doors, we encourage that you keep the door propped slightly closed and to avoid all physical contact with others, such as handshakes or hugs. Shared vehicles must be wiped down with a surface disinfected before and after use. We also do that with our meeting rooms as well. We have coming online, hopefully the end of this week, we have some fogger disinfectant units to be used in the in-depth cleaning. We plan to use those on all our winter maintenance operations equipment as well as our sweepers to disinfect those cabs. So if we do have somebody that comes down ill or anything, we can disinfect the cabs and they will stay for 30 days with no one infected, and then we will retreat them after that. The code plans, all personnel will follow the rules of engagement set out by our director. Crews to be isolated in smaller groups to minimize potential spread. We have operations set up in both divisions where we come in one door and out the other, so we don't have that face-to-face contact. Created on-call tracking sheet aid with our supervisors to know who is available and who is quarantined out and the date they will return. So they quickly look at a spreadsheet and they'll know when our employees are going to be back into operation if they've been quarantined. We're implementing more effective ways to disinfect the equipment. Like I said, we've got the fogger units. I think this is going to go a long ways to keep our operators safe and healthy this season. So our outreach, we sent winter operation plans and a summary updated contact info to our local police departments, fire departments, And Ada County Dispatch Supervisors overview will be October 27th. Scott, Lloyd, and I will meet with them and go over our winter ops plan, so they're up to speed as well. The schools will send out our winter ops plan and summary and updated contact info to all 3 school districts. And we'd like to propose meetings with the mayors to be hosted by our president, May, to be determined when that works out for her. Here is some of your favorite stuff, the Old Farmer's Almanac for 2021. It's calling for a light winter for most of the United States. Around here, we're looking for basically a normal winter, whatever that is. You can take that for what it's worth, but next slide, please. This is the one that we're hanging our hat on, hopefully, is it's going to be a light winter and a normal winter for average snowfall in our area. Our contact information for our citizens out there, we've got our Adams location, Cloverdale, the ACHD main line, the Ada County Sheriff's non-emergency number for dispatch after hour issues, tell us, and our ACHD website as well. But Scott and I will stand for any questions or comments that you may have on our winter maintenance operation.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, both of you. The season's coming, and you'll be ready. Any questions, commissioners? Questions or comments? All right, I guess no comments, no questions. Continue doing the stellar job that you do every year for us. We appreciate all that you do. Please pass that on to all your crews. Mr. Goldthorpe?
I was waiting to see if anybody had a really intelligent question, but I've got a question for Scott. You got your elk yet?
No, I go out the 14th, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
We'll have a follow-up. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Rich.
You betcha. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Next, we will have a pavement management evaluation update presentation by staff. And it looks like we have Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, President May, and members of the Commission. Thank you so much. I'm just providing a brief introduction today for our consultant, NCE, who performed our most recent pavement evaluation. We at the Highway District hire an independent consultant to perform this review so that we get the good data and good facts so that we're able to make decisions about our maintenance activities and all of the maintenance projects that we perform. This is a critical activity. We perform these reviews every 3 years, and I would like to introduce Margot Yap. She will be presenting from our consultant team today the results of our most recent pavement evaluation, and I will be here along with Margot to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Margot, you can go ahead and share your screen and take over. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin.
Oh, there we go.
Let me just get my screen up.
There you are. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm sorry I can't be there today. I think the last time I was up there was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I always enjoyed, spending the day in Boise and around. But let me double check, make sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can,
okay.
And we can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. So I have a short presentation just to give you a little update on where we are on the project. As Justin mentioned, we do this on a regular basis. And just to kind of give everyone and the commissioners a quick refresher, the pavement management program in the district is intended to answer several basic questions. How many miles do we own? And definitely your road network is growing bigger. Is it in good or bad condition? And I have some information I want to share with you. It's also intended to help guide staff in terms of deciding what the repairs are needed, what the most optimal locations are, and then of course, to use that long-term funding kind of analysis for us. And we don't have the answers to the last 2 bullets today, but we will. For this presentation is focused on the first 2. I also wanted to, again, let you know that the district has been using the Street Saver software for more than 20 years now. It's one of the most robust pavement management software in the United States. Used widely, definitely within the Pacific Northwest and Western United States. It's probably one of the more predominant applications that's being used. So the first thing I always like to start out with, just kind of give everyone a quick sense of, how valuable is this road network. And you just saw a very similar statistical breakdown that was just presented by Scott and Rich. We've got over almost 2,500 center line miles. We look at it really more in terms of lane miles. It's about almost 5,200 lane miles. And we break it down to arterials, collectors, local roads, and such. And as you all know, the arterials are the main streets, and then we have the residential neighborhoods, and then the collectors are the ones that connect in between. We also do have some alleys in the road network that's in the database, but they're a very small percentage. But there's a lot of numbers on this slide, and it's not that important. What's important, I think, is to understand the value of this asset. It's estimated at $3 billion, and that's a lot of money. And you can think of this value as, if we had a catastrophe of some kind and we had to rebuild all the roads in the district, it would easily cost us $3 billion. And this doesn't include, of course, the sidewalks, which we just heard about in the previous presentation, or the storm drain system, or the signals, or any of that. This is really just the pavement alone. So it's a significant asset. And so one of the things we try to do in this program is to figure out, well, how much money do we need to maintain this asset? Because after all, the taxpayers have paid for this. It's incumbent on us to try and maintain it to the best level that we can. So just another way, I like to show this slide, and I think I did this before with you several years ago, is that most people don't have an idea how many 5,000 lane miles really is. And if we were to lay every single street in Boise and just drive every lane, we would be all the way to Washington and back, and still not quite. We still have some miles left over. You've got a really big network, and it serves a huge geographical area. It serves a large population, so it shouldn't be a surprise, that the network is that valuable. So that's the first part of the question, right? How much do we own and maintain? So the next question we ask is, well, is it in good or bad condition? And I think, generally speaking, the district has been very fortunate. You've got a very good staff. You've got the sufficient funding to maintain it. And one of the ways we measure the condition is through something called the Pavement Condition Index, or the PCI, and it's a scale of 0 to 100. And I think you may have heard me say this before, that 0 is failed, and it's cobbles or gravel, and 100 is excellent. It's a day, after the contractor does their job and it's in good condition. And we fall somewhere in between. So where ACHD, the district, falls today, is right at 81, which is very close to where we were the last time I did this presentation to you. And by all measures, this is a very, very good metric. I'm often asked, what is a good number to be at? I can tell you that if you're anywhere in the green category, you're in pretty decent shape. But you need to watch, I think, the trends, which is what we're going to show you next. So because the district is fortunate and you've been able to use the pavement management software for so many years, we were able to go back and look at the historical data. And you can see here that pretty much over the last 20 years or so, it's been pretty stable. It's kind of in the low and the mid 80s. And that's not bad. I would probably discount the numbers in the 90s, partly because I don't know for a fact, I believe that this was probably due to the district just getting started putting the information in there, and it may not have been a complete network. It may have been, for instance, just portions of it that hadn't been completely inspected. So I don't want to look at the 90s, but certainly over the last 20 years, it's fairly stable, fairly solid. But, and there's always a but, if you just look at the last 5 years, you can see that there's a very slight, gentle downward trend. And I think one of the things we talked about several years ago was be careful, watch out for any potential downward trends, because, and I said this, was you have a growing network. And I think, let me see if I have I think I have another slide later, which I'll show you in a second. So the danger, of course, is that as the network grows, does the funding grow to keep up with the network? And we said that just keep an eye on and monitor that. So let's take the average of 81. Let's tease it out. What I like to do is I like to look at, for instance, 81's an average. It doesn't tell you everything, but look at the numbers on the left-hand side. Your arterials, your collectors, residentials, solidly in good shape. That's not always the case for many agencies. In fact, we often see the arterials may be in better shape than the local streets. But in this case, I think what the district has done is taken an approach that looks at the whole network holistically, and you'll be able to keep it there. The one area is the alleys. Those are a little bit lower, but you don't have too many of those in the database. I think it's maybe a couple hundred is what I recall, and it's a very small percentage. But those are low traffic. Usually, the public doesn't have much, doesn't use them very much. It's mostly for trucks, for loading or unloading. So probably not big surprise. If you look at the pie chart on the right-hand side, what we see is that more than 80% of the network is in very good shape or good shape. And this is, I have to tell you, it's an enviable situation to be in. Not many agencies in the United States are in this place. But you do have a chunk of roads that are considered fair. That's the blue category. Another way of thinking of that fair category, I like to actually think of it as it's at risk, right? Because we need to pay some attention to this, because otherwise it could deteriorate very quickly to the red category. It hasn't yet, but it's something to keep an eye on. You do have a very, very small sliver of roads that we would consider in the failed or poor category, less than 1% of your network, but they are there. If we take a look at the different maintenance zones and say, is there one maintenance zone that's different from the others? By and large, they look pretty consistent. If you look at this, for maintenance zones 1 through 6, as well as the downtown area, you can see that they're in the high 70s, low 80s. So they're all what I would consider basically kind of sort of the same, with a few little, unusual things. Now, this more busy, colorful bar chart is a little bit different. What we're trying to say is that in District 1, in Maintenance Zone 1, what is the percentage of roads that's good, fair, poor, very poor? So the green are all the good roads. The blues are the fair, and then the yellow and the reds are poor or very poor. And you can see that really there's not too many poor, very poor roads in the maintenance zone. Downtown is probably the only area that has a significant number, but by and large, the roads are in good shape. Again, the blues are the ones to kind of keep an eye on. You do have a significant percentage of that. I also wanted to share some maps, and this is something that we have not done in the past. This is Maintenance Zone 1, just to the west of us. And you can see, again, the green is the good roads. The blues are kind of the fairs, and the yellow and the reds are poor, very poor. And by and large, most of the roads are green. There are pockets of blues in neighborhoods that probably will be attacked at some point by the repair crews. But certainly, there are also some pockets of yellows and reds that need some attention. If I look at Maintenance Zone 2, again, predominantly good roads. A few pockets here of yellow and red. Maintenance Zone 3 to the south. Most of these are rural roads. They tend to be long stretches, usually pretty much in good shape too. Maintenance Zone 4 is probably the one area, this is a little bit closer to the more urbanized areas, of course, and now you can see there's a little bit more pockets of blue in there. Something, again, to keep an eye on, and definitely some reds and yellows are popping up. And then this is just on the other side of the river, and you can see mostly green out in the hills, but definitely in the more urbanized areas, some blues and pockets of blues as well. And this is the last maintenance zone. Same story. So everything that I've mentioned so far, it's pretty good news. So why? Why is it in such good shape? Well, if we take a look at the historical maintenance, you can see that what the district has been able to do is really look at almost a quarter of the network is maintained annually. So every single lane mile within is crack sealed in each zone. The chip seal program is usually fluctuating between 450 to 500 miles a year that covers a lane mile that covers a lot of territory, and it's one of the most cost-effective treatment. I have to tell you, it is. I like chip seals an awful lot, but you do have some bad roads, and so those cost a lot of money, and to overlay and to reconstruct. And there's a little sliver of red there. That's about 60 lane miles every year. Now, the part, of course, that I wanted to bring up, that I mentioned earlier, is that your network is growing. And you're growing because you're adding population, and there's more subdivisions being built, and so more roads have to be built to service them. It's part of, the process for all transportation districts. But the key, I think, is that people sometimes forget. It's easy to add roads. It's not so easy to add the funding to maintain the new roads. And so it's just a point that I wanted to make and say that keep an eye on this. You've had a 10% increase in mileage since 2013. That's about 500 lane miles. That's a lot. That's like a small city. And so if you're adding a small city, every 6-7 years or so, then is your budget also proportionally increasing to take and absorb these cities? I know that there are some other larger agencies where the Public Works Director has told me that they're thinking about actually stopping building new roads or annexing, or if new roads are added, that the private developer be responsible for them because, the public revenues just aren't enough to keep up. Just a thought. You're not quite, I think, there yet, or you may be on the verge of this, but it's certainly something I would encourage you to keep at the back of your mind. I like this slide. I think it shows that when we talk about how good the road network is in Ada County, we're not just making it up. We took quite a lot of effort to try and find similar agencies in the Northwest. If you look at the first two bars, that's Portland and Seattle, you can see that they're actually significantly lower PCIs than where Ada County is. Even some of the mountain agencies, in Colorado, like Arvada and Arapahoe County, they're lower than Ada County. Coeur d'Alene is the only Idaho agency we were able to locate with that also uses Street Saver, so it was easy for us to get an apples-to-apples comparison, and that's at 68. The only two counties that we found that were a little bit better than Ada County was Maricopa County, which is in Phoenix, Arizona area, and the other is Pierce County in Washington. But by and large, Ada County is in good shape, so I think, it's a good way to say congratulations and keep up the good work. So where we are, just to kind of wrap up, we've updated the conditions, the field data on about 470 miles of arterial collectors, and additional 200 miles of residential. That was done this last late summer. It's all done. We are in the process of working with the district staff to look at the maintenance costs and the decision trees, and I think that's pretty much wrapped up too. And so we're ready just about ready to start on the budget analysis and trying to see, the existing budget that you do have, is it enough to maintain this very large network of yours? And then I think we're also going to try and find ways to see if we can stretch that perpetual dollar and look at the rural roads and see if we can fine-tune some of the treatments that are being applied there versus some of the more urbanized areas. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right. Thank you, Margot. A lot of good information there. Commissioners, questions for Margot?
I have a comment.
All right. Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I'm just grateful we continue to do this. I guess I'm going to have to put down my we're number one glove. Okay. Now we're number 3. Oh, I appreciate that we're still doing so well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe. Any other comments or questions, commissioners? Margot, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
All right. Next time I'll be there.
Okay. We look forward to it.
All right.
Mr. Lucas, did you have some comments?
President May, members of the commission, thank you so much for your time today, and we're glad to provide you with this really positive report, and we'll bring more information back as we continue the budget analysis and other analysis points that we're doing. Thank you.
Very good. We appreciate it. Thank you, Justin. All right. Commissioners, that looks like we are done for today. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will be back here next week. Thank you.
Thank you.